No one could have imagined that Wang Yibo's birthday this year would cause an entire city to shimmer like a dream, and even fewer expected that Xiao Zhan's hometown would be at the heart of it all. What began as a quiet whisper among fan circles turned into an astonishing wave of lights, colors, and heart-stopping surprises that blanketed the city of Chongqing in a way that can only be described as cinematic magic. It was August, and while most people expected the usual fan projects, a few billboards here, an LED screen there, what happened instead was a full-blown transformation of a city, all for the boy who rarely asks for anything, Wang Yibo. And the mastermind behind the most jaw-dropping part of it all? Xiao Zhan himself. Days before Yibo's birthday, fans had spotted mysterious installations popping up in corners of the city, glowing butterflies in alleyways, blue neon hearts dangling from bridges, murals of a faceless boy riding a motorcycle under starry skies. No name was mentioned. No sign was posted. But those who knew, knew. It was Wang Yibo, carved into the city like a secret poem written in light. The surprises escalated quickly. Just before midnight on Yibo's birthday, the Yangtze River lit up in a glowing parade of floating lanterns, each one carrying a message written by fans and curated by a group that had remained suspiciously silent. What no one realized until later was that those messages had been handpicked by Xiao Zhan himself. One fan's message read, *, "You're the calm in my chaos. Happy birthday, Yibo." Another, *, "Even when you're quiet, we hear you." And the most touching of all, "I hope the world treats you gently, the way you deserve." As the lanterns floated downriver, drone lights suddenly filled the sky. In perfect synchronization, they formed an image of Yibo's silhouette, helmet on, riding his motorcycle, the number 85 glowing beneath it. The crowd gasped. No one had ever seen a drone performance of that scale in the city before. Just as the final image faded, soft music started playing from rooftops and alleyways, as if the city itself had become a speaker. It wasn't just any song, it was a haunting instrumental version of a song Yibo once danced to, the kind that brought back memories of silent stages and thunderous applause. The next morning, still reeling from the emotional high, fans began uncovering even more hidden surprises. At a quiet tea house tucked away in the Old Town district, a wall had been covered with Polaroids, not of Yibo, but of moments he had shared with co-stars, staff, and yes, Xiao Zhan. Each photo had a tiny caption scribbled beneath it in Xiao Zhan's unmistakable handwriting. One read, "He didn't say much here, but I could tell he was proud." Another said, "He laughed so hard, he almost dropped his script. I'll never forget that." At the center of the display was a single photo that hadn't been seen before. It showed Wang Yibo standing on a rooftop, sunlight behind him, eyes closed. Peaceful. Free. The caption simply read, "This is how I want the world to see him." People started crying on the spot. By that afternoon, news crews had arrived to cover what was now being called the birthday that took over a city. Local artists admitted they had been secretly commissioned weeks earlier to paint tribute murals, design glowing installations, and choreograph light shows, all anonymously paid for by someone who wanted to remain invisible but kind. Eventually, word got out that Xiao Zhan had personally been coordinating with the team behind the event. He'd even made surprise phone calls to artists, sent voice notes with ideas, and recorded a short video that was never posted online, but played in a hidden projection room set up in a renovated warehouse downtown. Only a handful of fans found it. In the video, Xiao Zhan stands beside a birthday cake, dressed simply in a white shirt, a quiet smile on his face. He says, "Sometimes, people don't realize how much light they bring into others' lives. So this year, I wanted the lights to follow him for once." Then, with a softer look in his eyes, he adds, "Happy birthday, Wang Yibo. Thank you for just being you." Those who saw it described the feeling as a hug you didn't know you needed. By evening, a live band began playing on an open rooftop. People gathered. Drones returned to the sky one last time, this time forming the simple message, "Yibo, 8.05, loved, always." And then, almost as if answering the city's love letter, Wang Yibo posted a rare thank you message online. It read, "Chongqing is glowing tonight. You made it feel like home. I'm speechless, and very, very grateful." But what sent fans spiraling all over again was the second message that followed 2 hours later, a post from Xiao Zhan's private fan account. Just one photo, a street corner lit up with blue butterflies. And a single line underneath it, asterisk, you didn't ask for much. So we gave you everything. Asterisk. It was official. This birthday wasn't just a celebration. It was a love story written in lights, music, and memory. A quiet, deeply emotional surprise that unfolded across a city and reached the hearts of millions. And at the center of it all stood Wang Yibo, stunned, honored, and, perhaps for the first time, visibly moved beyond words. Because sometimes the biggest gift is simply being seen. As dawn broke over the city of Chongqing, the afterglow of Wang Yibo's unforgettable birthday still shimmered in the air. But what most people didn't know was that the celebration wasn't over. In fact, the most emotional moments were yet to come, tucked away in the quiet corners where cameras couldn't reach and only those closest to Yibo could witness what truly unfolded behind the scenes. While the city's skyline was still lit with faint traces of the drone lights from the night before, Wang Yibo slipped out early in the morning, dressed in his signature low-key black hoodie and cap. No entourage. No spotlight. He was headed to the hidden rooftop where that one photo of him, eyes closed in sunlight, had been taken. It wasn't just a random place. It was the very location Xiao Zhan had once taken him to during a break between film shoots, a place he called his thinking space. There, tucked beneath an old bamboo wind chime that clinked with the breeze, was a new surprise waiting, a wooden box with Yibo's initials carved in bold strokes and a tiny origami crane sitting on top. Inside were handwritten letters from the cast, the crew, his fans, and lastly, a sealed envelope with the words, "Only You," scrawled in Xiao Zhan's unmistakable handwriting. He stood there in silence for a moment, gripping the envelope tightly. A soft breeze blew through, lifting the corners of the other letters. One had a sketch of Yibo on a motorcycle, signed by a child who had watched his drama with her grandmother. Another was a message from an elderly fan who wrote, "Your silence speaks louder than any words. You helped me smile again." But the one that changed everything, Xiao Zhan's. Though the contents of the letter were never made public, witnesses said Wang Yibo sat there for nearly 30 minutes after reading it, unmoving, his fingers curled gently over the edge of the paper, head tilted back as though trying to stop tears from falling. What Xiao Zhan had written must have been more than just birthday wishes. It must have been something personal, something that reached beyond the cameras, the roles, the public image, and spoke directly to the man himself. Later that day, as Yibo returned to the studio for a surprise birthday segment arranged by the production team, he found the entire cast wearing matching motorcycle jackets with embroidered symbols on the back, his initials and a blue phoenix rising from flames. They performed a flash dance routine to one of his old tracks, badly choreographed but overflowing with love. He laughed so hard he couldn't speak, collapsing on the floor mid-dance, tears streaming down his face as everyone clapped and cheered. But Xiao Zhan wasn't there. Or so it seemed. Just as the cake was wheeled in, the lights dimmed, and a pre-recorded video began playing. It was Xiao Zhan, but not in a studio or a formal setting. He was at the rooftop, that same rooftop, holding a guitar. "I promised I wouldn't sing this unless it was for something that truly mattered," he said quietly. And then he began playing a song. Not a famous track. Not one they'd ever shared on stage. It was soft, raw, and clearly written for one person only. A melody about riding without fear, of trusting someone with your silence, of finding light in someone who doesn't even realize how brightly they shine. As the final notes faded, Xiao Zhan looked straight into the camera and said, "Some people celebrate with fireworks. I just needed the sky to know it belonged to you, at least for one night." Yibo, normally so reserved, was visibly shaken. He didn't speak for a long moment, just stared at the screen with glistening eyes, mouth slightly parted in disbelief. Then, almost instinctively, he turned away from the cameras and mouthed something that fans caught only from behind, "Thank you. I got it." Later, when asked about the rooftop visit and Xiao Zhan's letter, Wang Yibo simply smiled and said, "There are moments when you don't need to speak. You just feel everything, all at once." That day, Chongqing didn't just celebrate a birthday. It celebrated a bond, quiet, deep, and unwavering. A love letter written not just in lights and surprises, but in trust, in memories, and in the smallest gestures that echoed louder than any spotlight ever could. And as night returned, a small blue butterfly landed on the rooftop railing beside the wooden box, the final visitor to a story that had already made the whole city believe in something more than just celebration. It made them believe in connection, in something real.